Chapter 2, When Deaths Align. Later that evening, and where are we? Are we still in the palace right now? See a palace guard. Magistrate D, I'm so glad to see you. As you've no doubt heard by now, it's happened again. Sometime between 2 and 3 hours ago, the lady of this house was brutally murdered while she was reading in the study. Go on. Okay, we're not in the palace anymore, even though this looks like a palace. This is a private residence, huh? Wow. This is even more beautiful than a palace. It's a horrible mess, just like what happened to Sun Lin Fei. It took me a moment just to gather myself after I saw the body. It was like a flashback, except it wasn't. These two women, they've been murdered in the exact same way. What else have you found out? This place belonged to Lam Hai Feng. The victim was his wife, a young woman named Shi Wang Yang. Apparently, they've been married less than a month. The Lambs employ an elderly house steward and 2 servants, but all 3 live on a small adjacent residence south of the main compound. As far as we know, the 3 of them had completed their task for the day and had returned to their residence when the murder took place. The front gate has a rather flimsy lock, which our killer seems to have picked without difficulty. Coroner Yao is examining the body now. He can tell you more about the crime scene. Did you speak to the husband? Only briefly. He seemed quite shaken, but he seems to have a solid alibi. He's in the study now, waiting to speak to you. Thank you, Lieutenant. You stay here and make sure no one goes in or out. Wow, look at this place, everybody. He seems unsettled. Lieutenant Mar. These killings have put me on edge. My wife is worried for me, but the truth is I cannot help but worry about her. I've arranged for her to stay with her parents while this case is still unresolved. Okay, wait, what? What is that? There's a slot? And a gap here. There's an opening, guys. That's odd. There's a gap in the railing. There's also a matching gap on the other side. On the other side, diagonally. Oh! Looks like there's a missing walkway that connects this platform to the one across the way. Interesting, guys. So, there's no way right now to get to the gazebo on the right. That empty slot. A small opening here. Something's missing though. A handle of some kind. Can I just use my fingers? Now, need to find the right lever. Okay, remind me now. What items do we have? Yeah, I haven't played this game in a few days. So, to refresh my memory here. This is a new chapter. It's a new murder, a new crime scene. It keeps going. Oh, okay. Need to find the lever. This goes inside the house. We are going to see the body. Oh my lord! Shi Wen Ya, look at that body, a naked body. Lots and lots of blood. Wow. Man, look at this. The murderer opened her up. Ripped open her chest. Lam Hai Feng, so that's the husband. Should we talk to the husband first or the coroner, guys? Okay, you know what? I'm going to talk to the coroner first. Coroner Yao. Nasty business here, huh? Displays a grumpy demeanor. He performs his duties with care and courage. There you are! I was wondering when you would join us. I hope you have had ample time to digest your last meal. Had to send Lieutenant Ma outside when his face started to turn pale. Thank you, Coroner Yao. I think I will manage. Good. This is not every day one sees this kind of brutality. This poor girl has been eviscerated and left exposed. Yep, I can see that very clearly. As soon as you've done here, I have some constables taking her back to the morgue. Of course, let's make sure she's transported with care. Is a preliminary report ready? Yes, I finished my initial examination. This girl might be dead, but she still has a lot to tell us. What can you tell me about the victim? She was in her early 20s, 24 according to her husband. Her study bill suggests an active and healthy lifestyle. Yeah, she does seem particularly fit and strong. Yes, just like Sun Lin Fei. In fact, the similarities between them struck me immediately. They share a remarkable combination of beauty and strength. If the same man is responsible for these two killings, I say he's choosing his targets rather deliberately. What can you tell me about the cause of death? All signs point to asphyxia. The killer most likely stood behind her and strangled her with some kind of rope or cloth, but alas, no signs of a struggle or the murder weapon. She was then cut open posthumously to facilitate the removal of her heart. I say she died no more than 3 hours ago. Are there any clues in the bloodstain patterns? I'm glad you asked. The blood patterns themselves offer no revelations, but they do suggest that our killer might be becoming more efficient. How so? Take a closer look. The large laceration on her chest has made her bleed profusely, which is to be expected, but unlike last time, the killer's left no bloody footprint behind. Lieutenant Ma won't get to practice his doodling skills this time, so our killer is honing his skills. Precisely, he must have used rags to manage the initial blood loss. Most of the blood you see here was likely discharged after he left the scene. Thank you, Coroner Yao. I will leave her under your care. What a gruesome scene, everybody. This killing reminds me of Jack the Ripper now. Maybe we have a copycat here. Or, you know what? It's the other way around. I'm sorry, guys. Maybe Jack the Ripper is the copycat. This is ancient China. A long time before Jack the Ripper in London. There's a book by her side, a green book. What is that about? What is it? It's a book on classical literature. The interior pages have been torn up. It's been torn in half. All the pages. There is an inscription. It reads, "To my dearest beloved, may your days be filled with lovely words and even lovelier thoughts. Hai Fang." So this book is given to his wife, or was given to his wife. Once again, the killer exploited a personal item belonging to the victim's closest relation, in this case, her husband. So just like the walking stick in the first case, it's the same method he used to coerce Sun Lin Fei into surrendering to him. Both young women were unusually brave and selfless. Few could sacrifice themselves that way. Yet my intuition tells me something is amiss. Why did they act so passively in the face of such a threat? Did you say that Shi Wenyan's book, a gift from her husband, was used to coerce her? Feels like the murderer is someone with power. Someone with an authoritative power. That's why the victims were so afraid of the murderer. and bow down to him, you know? Lieutenant Ma was right. Her wounds matched those found on Su Lin Fei. Is it exactly the same? There's a rose here, everybody. The killers left behind another rose. Yeah. Another rose. It looks like our killer has a taste for theatrics. But why a rose? General Lam has collected a lifetime of knowledge. In this room, the bookcase contains books and scrolls about the arts, philosophy, and the game of Weiqi? Weiqi? What's Weiqi? The game of Weiqi. Is that a board game? The right bookcase. There's a left bookcase. The same thing. There's a plate. The library spans a great deal of subject matters. This one contains books and scrolls about history, politics, and warfare. Okay, let's talk to the husband now. Lam Haifeng. He was once a rising star among military elites. Why did he choose to give that up? Excuse me, Lam Haifeng. Mr. Lam? Mr. Lam! Yes, I'm Lam Haifeng. Are you alright? I'm Magistrate Direnji. I'm in charge of this inquiry. I apologize for my poor manners. My mind is a jumbled mess. There will be time for grief. For now, you must gather yourself. I only have a few questions. Of course, please proceed. I want to help you in any way I can. I know time is of the essence. Tell me about yourself. Had you asked me the question on any other day, I could have given you an assured response. Son of a great general, I was once a golden boy destined for greatness, or at least that is what I was told. But in my heart of hearts, I knew that the life was not for me. I grew up with my sword in hand, but it was a lie. I could never fulfill my father's legacy. There's no dishonor in choosing your own path. I thought so as well, and yet here I stand, faced with utter ruin. My only love viciously taken from me, my life shattered into 1,000 pieces. Perhaps I deserve this fate for my filial betrayals. You must remain resolute. Do you think the memory of your wife deserves to be tarnished by doubt? You are right. Wang Yang gave me the 2 happiest months of my life. I will always cherish that. Tell me more about your wife, Wang Yang. After my father died, I was lost and alone. I had no sense of purpose, no direction. Then I met Wang Yang. She was a beacon of hope. She helped me see a new life. Divorced from the military duties that had shackled me for so long, I had no wish to spend the rest of my days in one military barrack after another. I fell in love with Wang Yang, and she became the center of my world. And you married her only a short time later? Ah, yes, we were married a few weeks after we met. Did not want to waste any more time. Wang Yang also had a difficult life. We both wanted to start anew. What do you know about Wang Yang's past? I think she was a bookkeeper for a time. She was an incredibly smart woman, but she struggled to find steady employment. An attractive and a strong-minded woman like her is often seen as a threat, but that is what I love so much about her, that spark, that intelligence. Her curiosity and thirst for knowledge was unquenchable. That is why she spent so much time in this room. She loved to sit and read for hours. Tell me more about your retirement from the Imperial Forces. It was a clear repudiation for my father's wishes, but after his death I could no longer continue this charade. I grew tired of the political machinations of a perverted military upper class, men like General Sang, who abuse their power simply to perpetuate it. I found peace in my new life, something I could never dream of before. What can you tell me about General Sang? Sang Chao is more reptile than man, if you ask me. He courted my father's backing on many occasions, hoping to consolidate power in the shadows, but my father resisted until the end. He knew a man like Sang could not be trusted. Did Sang attempt to contact you? Yes, more than once, but I had no patience for his odious nature, let alone his deplorable schemes. No, there was nothing for us to talk about. His advances were squarely rejected. As a matter of fact, I had to turn away one of his lackeys just this morning. What was the purpose of this visit? He came to remind me of some kind of special meeting taking place tonight, a gathering of so-called patriots assembled by Sang himself. Apparently, an invitation was sent to my father before he died, but I had long ago lost interest in such political antics to pay any attention to it. The gathering is tonight? Do you know where your father put the invitation? No, I'm afraid not. Tell me what happened here. I had been out all afternoon. When I came home, the servants had already retired to their private residence, but I knew something was wrong when I saw that the front gate was unlocked. I noticed the light from this room and assumed Wang Yang was reading, as she has a habit of doing on most evenings. But when I stepped inside, there she was, dead, defiled, and drenched in her own blood. Where were you this afternoon? I was at a tea house discussing business with two friends. You can speak to them if you wish. I told this to your lieutenant already. Other than those involved, who knew about your meeting at the tea house this afternoon? No one. I was meeting my friends to discuss a small business venture. I see no reason for anyone to take interest in such a routine affair. How often were you having these meetings? 3 times a week. My friends are busy merchants. We do our best to schedule the meetings ahead of time, but I still don't understand why this is relevant. It is precisely because these meetings were routine that they may be of relevance. Think of it. How did the killer know your wife would be alone? You're right. Someone knew my movements. How could I be so careless? Wang Yan, what have I done? Did your wife have any enemies? People who would have wanted to harm her? My wife was a gentle and reserved person. She had no enemies. Then perhaps someone hurt her to get to you. I imagine a man in your position makes a few enemies along the way. But I've given all that up. I know my retirement ruffled some feathers, but my decision was met with more ridicule than resentment. Truth be told, most people were happy to see me walk away. It gave them one more vacant position to fight over. Did anyone take special interest in your decision? Now that you mention it, General Sang did pay me a visit. He wanted me to reconsider. He said a new regime was on the horizon, and that I could play a key role in it. Had I promised him my allegiance, my father's troops would have followed my lead, but I refused him on the spot. I told him to leave and never came back. Do you think Sang may be responsible for this? My father had warned me about his intimidation tactics, that I underestimate his depravity. If he's responsible, he will pay with his life. I swear he will. I apologize. I suppose retirement did little to snuff out the fighter in me. Please find her killer, Magistrate D. We are both in your hands. I noticed a rather odd feature in your water garden. A walkway seems to be missing. Can you tell me why? Oh, that walkway is an old remnant of my father's military heydays. It opens a passage to the secret war room. I haven't used that room since he passed away, so I decided to keep the walkway closed. Perhaps it would be prudent of me to have a look. How is the walkway opened? My father would turn in his grave if he knew I let anyone else enter the room, but I suppose life is full of disappointments. Here is the lever that opens the walkway. You'll need to figure out how to open the entrance on your own, though. I've long forgotten the combination. That's all for now. Thank you, Mr. Lamb. Alright, looks like we are heading into the war room now. Need to figure out how to do that puzzle. I do see a board game in the gazebo. So, anything else we have to look at? Any other hotspots? So we got the lever, we got the rose. Alright, let's go. Let's see if we can figure out how to open up that walkway to the war room. Oh no, I shouldn't leave until I examined the crime scene and expanded all the evidence. What? I am missing something, guys. Hold on. Woo! Right here. A rod fold. What is that hiding underneath the carpet? A noticeable fold on this otherwise perfectly placed rug. What is it? Piece of note. Another one of the killer's notes. Why is he leaving a trail for us to follow? It's the same kind of game to him. To those who obey, let prey be mine. I have to sway, but death shall align. There are symbols again on the two sides. Depth shall align. How many are in these sides? Another pair of strange symbols. Still no hint as to what they mean. Yep. Alright, is that all? Can we leave?